Well, hey now, everybody. It's The Rob from Kiss 106 and 103GBFRocks.com. Alongside my tag team partner in podcasting, please welcome to the show, Jerry the Anvil Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning, pal. How are we doing?
You know, I'm just realizing now they did not rerun that tribute for Jim last night.
They did not, but it was okay. They had a lot of video packages, which for the live crowd might have been a little bit boring, but for everything for at home, pretty spectacular.
Yeah, you know, I'm really glad that you said that, because I'll just say we are not going to disagree on that. We can jump right into it and start there if you want to. I think I know what you're referring to.
Well, I'd love to. I thought the Miz Daniel Bryan part 1, part 2, part 3, A+, A+, A+.
So yeah, or at least I would go A+, A+, C, because here was the thing. I felt the biggest problem with this SummerSlam match is I was missing some sort of excitement because they've had so much history built up. I think the climax being that Talking Smack segment from like 2 years ago or whatever it was. And I felt like this was all feeling just too plain Jane for me.
Right. Well, and I didn't even realize the history went back as far as it did. I wasn't really watching it like when NXT was a competition game show, I wasn't watching. So I missed the, you're my pro, you're rookie. I missed that whole dynamic with those two. And I caught up at Talking Smack forward, and I forgot how great that promo was.
That was so good. And also, I had forgotten, I had watched the NXT stuff when it was a game show, and even I forgot that it went back that far. So I'm really glad that they took the whole time that they were going to give to Daniel Bryan and The Miz this week. They didn't do anything live, and they just focused on how deep this feud was. And for the go-home show for SmackDown, and while you're right, it was probably tough for the live crowd, that was a really smart decision and really well put together packages, in my opinion.
And the best part of the show, I think, by hands down.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, I even called this episode Daniel Bryan versus The Miz parts 1 through 3.
Yeah, and they focus it. I was already excited to see them fight, but they've got me chomping at the bit to see them fight now. The only thing I kind of hope, I mean, this is never going to be the blow-off. This isn't going to be the blow-off match. I feel like we're building to a bigger match with these two, maybe.
I hope.
But who knows?
Right. So
I'd like to think so.
Here's where I was when it was announced that Daniel Bryan was coming back. The first thing I wanted was Miz versus Daniel Bryan.
That's what everybody wanted, and they put Miz on SmackDown and everything.
I mean, a lot of people say Daniel Bryan versus AJ is the dream match, which is certainly fair. But me, I'm like, there's so much unfinished business with Miz and Daniel Bryan, and they've been handling it well, but it's not lived up to like the stuff from 2 years ago, in my opinion. So it was just a good choice for me. Now I'm like, okay, let's jump into it at SummerSlam.
Right. And I'm hoping that it gets to the point, you've got this feud, and you find a way to keep topping it and making it bloodier and more personal and better. A lot like Gargano and Ciampa. I mean, they're showing you how to drag a feud on for a year and just keep delivering time and time again. And I want to see that with the Miz and Daniel Bryan, because they have the potential that in 15, 20 years, when we're talking about best feuds of all time, they could be one of them. I just want to see this.
Well, you got some big expectations for this one, pal.
Well, it's not this match in particular, but it's these two and their careers, and I expect their careers to last a while longer, pal. And so I do expect more matches after SummerSlam.
I hadn't even thought past SummerSlam, to be honest with you, but I hope you're right. I mean, my understanding was this was, a dream match for WrestleMania, but it does feel like holding it off to WrestleMania would be a mistake. So maybe they can just kind of grow it to WrestleMania.
And it's very interesting because they both, I don't want to get into prediction episode stuff too deeply, but I will say it's probably the hardest one to call for me.
The whole card is tough for me, pal.
This is a tough one, though, because, I mean, you've got them wanting to push the Miz and Mrs., and he could use a win for sure. But then if you look at like the 2K19, I always know the WWE is looking at promoting things at the same time as booking. And now you've got the Daniel Bryan announcement for the new video game. And so that's huge.
What's the announcement?
So you can play Daniel Bryan's career. They're bringing back the career thing for 2K19, the spotlight. You got the last time you got to do it with Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was pretty awesome, actually. And you get to do that, the story mode with Daniel Bryan's career.
So one thing about Daniel Bryan's career that's worth mentioning, and I said this before and I've stayed true to this. He had, like, in our childhood and like the Attitude Era and, you know, the new generation stuff, and I'm sure guys who watch longer than me have stuff from like the rock and wrestling era. There were so many genuine magical moments that came from being a wrestling fan. And I feel like those have been a little more fleeting, a little less common over the last 15 years or so. Daniel Bryan has the most magical moment of this modern generation of wrestling fans. It's that whole run from like the TakeOver Raw to winning that title at WrestleMania 30.
The yes movement. I mean, that was unbelievable. And that was
genuine.
Was a WrestleMania. That was such a genuine WrestleMania moment. And that was such a huge ender to WrestleMania. They've been trying to recapture that with stories and and they can't do it. They tried to do the authority crushes, Roman Reigns, and nobody's buying it. Like, it was organic with Daniel Bryan. You're absolutely right.
It was just, that's what wrestling is supposed to be. That's a magical moment that happened. And that's what I love about wrestling. So that's a cool choice. I feel like I don't play the games, which is weird because I love video games and I love wrestling, but I don't love wrestling video games anymore. Used to, not anymore. I think
you'd enjoy the spotlight game part of the game, but the rest of the games, those 2K games, are just garbage. They're garbage.
All those features seem so cool to me, like a GM mode and, keeping rosters up to date and all the features. But the problem for me is, and then the bell rings and I don't have fun playing it.
And they give you, now they're like, and you can get a 100 biggest roster ever, 115 characters. Yeah, but there's like 9 Triple H's. And there's like 6 Undertakers. I mean, this is how it works. It's
you gotta have 9 of the smartest wrestler ever.
Smartest ever.
I can say definitively, while I was unsure last week, I am 100% positive this episode did not start with the signature.
I didn't pay attention again last night, but I paid attention on Monday.
Monday did have it.
Monday has the signature. Last night did not, did it?
Did not have that weird then, now, forever thing at the beginning. It just went from the ending of Modern Family, just jumped right into the arena. Which I'm not saying is good or bad, I'm just pointing it out. I don't know if there's a direction there or not. I'm just still letting everyone know that this time, definitely it was not there.
Well, the one thing that they did do that was the same as Raw is they gave us the very first 30 minutes of the show was women's wrestling that I didn't care about. The first 30 minutes, I mean, a quarter of the show, at least Raw, when they give you 30 minutes of women's stuff at the very beginning, you still have 2.5 hours to go. With SmackDown, that real estate's expensive, and they gave all 30 minutes to Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Carmella, which I don't know why, but adding Charlotte actually took away from me.
Same. And I actually think the problem is, I think Becky Lynch is the one who doesn't belong.
Well, but it didn't look like it till Charlotte showed up.
Right.
Becky Lynch could have looked like she belonged, but then you add Charlotte, and now it looks like Charlotte and Carmella should be the match, and Becky's just like an and run.
That's the
You're
feud.
Just there.
I agree. I don't know if you're experiencing this, but I am. So I was never into Carmella's looks up until we met her here in the studio. And now I think she's a knockout. I cannot explain, but I needed to meet her in person to get over that hump.
I always thought she was attractive, but I thought she was stripper hot. And then when we met her, I realized she's legit beautiful.
Yes.
She's really good looking.
And now when I see her on TV, I'm getting that impact more now. It's strange. I also feel like she's dressing hotter, but like seeing how small she was in person and just, I don't know, everything about it just worked.
Just work.
And then on the same token,
you didn't like that she was wearing like the fabulous Moolah bathing suit and stuff.
Yeah, that's a bad look for her, isn't it?
I mean, she can pull it off because she's got a knockout figure. I mean, I follow her on Instagram, and because she liked some of our posts, pal, when she was in the studio. So I follow her on Instagram, and she's all the way up. Roll Tide, pal.
What was I going to say? I had a point about this. One thing that I did like. Oh, by the way, I called that I call that bathing suit the FABULOUS Moolah bathing suit. Capiche?
Capiche.
So the one thing I did like about that promo that wasn't really necessary last night with the girls, I liked how they referred to Carmella as a diva, as a burn. I loved the way they did that. Did you catch that?
I did. I did. Like, they're using it as an insult.
Yeah, now. Like there's a women's revolution going on, and you're still in the divas period. And I'm not positive that they're wrong about that, but what's your take on that?
I mean, they're not wrong, kind of. I mean, like, what do they mean by if the women's revolution is defined by 5-star wrestling and not great looks, then sure, okay, she's not that, but she's good looking. She can wrestle, kind of, but she's not putting on 5-star matches.
Right.
It's more personality and looks driven. But I also don't see her pigeonholed to. She doesn't need to be in bra and panties. She can talk. She can cut a promo. I think she's absolutely women's revolution. Remember, the divas were so bankrupt of actual talent, I think, that like Ivory's in the Hall of Fame. Women that I didn't think that were all that spectacular. Sable and Sunny are garbage that are just pretty. They were garbage. They were just pretty garbage. And that's what diva is to me. Models that they put in the ring.
Sunny was definitely a worker in the fact that if you don't look at her as a wrestler and more as like a manager personality, she was fantastic at that. Sable, I'm going to give you. Here's what I'll say about this.
But then I would also stop referring to Trish Stratus and Lita as divas because they're women's revolution, I think. That's
fair too. Here's what I'll say. If you're going to rank all the women wrestlers right now, and you put the divas on the bottom and the women's wrestlers at the top, Carmella's closer to the bottom right now. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
But that's the way I feel about that one.
But she also looks legit with that title, and I think that she's believable as a champion, which I didn't think she would be. The whole time she had Money in the Bank, I was like, she is a mistake because when she gets the belt, she's not going to look right with it. But then she proved me wrong.
I'm just happy that she stepped up everything, whether you're talking in the ring or her personality. Once she got that title, she got to where she needed to get to. So mission accomplished.
And on a lesser note, I'm thankful that she started to do it before she came in to Kiss FM because we don't look like bandwagon jumpers. We weren't high on her, and we were getting there when we met her. It's not like, oh, we met her, we're starstruck, now we're fans. She was impressing us before that.
Yeah, it was when she won the title.
Right.
That's when it all started to come together for her. What else? Along the same note, another person I've been kind of critical of is Paige. And while I still hate her as GM, I'll give her the credit of last night, I think was the best I've ever seen her look, at least on WWE television and not on my cell phone.
She's still the drizzling poops.
Yeah. But she looked like she dressed like kind of nice with the big boots and like a man suit. And I don't know. I was like, damn, pal.
I love those big boots, pal.
Yeah, those fantastic boots, pal.
Do you want to speak their name today? I spoke Ricky Roberts' name yesterday. You want to speak the name today?
All we have is, quote, they call themselves the Triple Threat.
So they call themselves the Triple Threat.
Did you get names? Oh.
No.
I was going to say, I didn't know if you got names. They refer to them as like Threat 1, Threat 2, and Threat 3.
Well, that's the best, and I love that you refer to them as they call themselves the Triple Threat, because that's like their name. Because no one referred to them as a Triple Threat. They call themselves the Triple Threat. We speak your name.
That could have been the same threesome from the week before, or whatever the three kids of Kane or whatever it was.
I actually love this. I love that they've got the Bludgeon Brothers beating up 3 people at a time because they're taking on the New Day. You know, that's subtle, a little subtle nod to like, we'll take on 3 people and we'll crush them. The Bludgeon Brothers look like monsters going into SummerSlam. It's good. It was fine.
By the way, I had my New Day t-shirt on yesterday. Today it is a very simple, you could almost mistake it for not a wrestling shirt. Can you see it?
Neville, king of the contract holdouts.
I've got to be one of very few human beings that can say they have 2 Neville shirts.
I mean, really, you have the purple one and you have this one, right? You have the superhero Neville.
It's the Altitude Era,
yeah,
Dawn of the Altitude Era shirt, and then this one, which I almost didn't buy, but I was like, $3, damn pal.
Whatever happened with Neville? Is he still under contract, or did they finally release him?
You know what, Jer? I'm not 100% positive, but either way, he's one of those guys that I'm just like, man, I love his work and everything, but just F him. He's in that CM Punk category to me. It's like, guys, I'm sorry. You guys are fantastic workers. I want to see you on my TV, but if you got to be a baby about absolutely everything, then, I mean, good riddance.
See you later, Simon Gotch.
Yeah.
See you later, Neville.
Right. You know, it's just like, I want Punk back so bad, but he's just, his real personality has been really soured on me.
I don't need it. I don't need it. And unfortunately, the personality starts to make me not appreciate or like the wrestler. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about it working retroactively, because the more I learn about Shawn Michaels, the more I don't like him. but it's too late. I've already enjoyed all the Shawn Michaels I'm going to enjoy. It's not going to ruin my enjoyment of Shawn Michaels. But if he were to wrestle now, I'd be like, F him, man. Well, I hate his guts.
My thing is, it's not a retroactive or not thing. It's just I can separate the real life from the wrestler. And same thing with Punk. And I mean, yeah, Michaels had his thing. You know, he seemed like he was a real bear to work with. But Punk, I feel like, is just more F you to the fans. It's like, I don't know. I never got down with the whole thing he's doing. And
well, he got his face knocked in, so that's funny.
And he's also, it sounds like he was a real a-hole to Colt Cabana, too. Colt Cabana's suing him.
Suing him because he told Colt Cabana that
allegedly
all the lawsuit money and all that would be taken care of, and then Colt Cabana got hit with a $500,000 bill.
Yeah, he left him high. From what it sounds, according to Colt, he left him high and dry for like $500,000, which, I mean, I don't care how much money you're making on the indies. That's going to hurt.
Yeah. I know we're all over the place, but I rewatched Raw yesterday, parts of it for my son.
Sure.
Drowning.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right?
He does it twice. It wasn't a slip of the lips. He thinks it's drowning.
Yeah. And there's a lot of humans that do. A lot of English first language people that do think it's drowning.
Sure.
Isn't that great? Sure. Thank you for reaffirming that. I only had one more real note from SmackDown, and the last segment was fine to me, but this to me felt like a rare example of SmackDown running out of time. The ending caught me off guard. It felt like there still should have been 5 more minutes or some sort of retaliation on AJ's part. But Joe said Wendy Styles, and then they just left the airwaves. Yeah.
Right.
It felt like they ran out of time to me a little bit at the end.
It looked like they were going to, because it's 54 minutes past, and they always do end right on time. You mentioned that yesterday. They end right. It's 54 minutes past. They come back from commercial, and there's AJ Styles. It's like, how are they going to do whatever they're trying to do here in 6 minutes? Good luck.
Yeah, SmackDown does not overrun at all.
And I mean, they got it in. They crammed it in. So yeah, that seemed a little forced. It didn't get me that. I'm excited enough but it didn't add excitement at all.
They've already done the work, but last night didn't add anything to me. You're right. But you're right. I'm excited.
Jeff Hardy and Shelton Benjamin. The note I had was Shelton Benjamin. I forgot you were on SmackDown Live.
I forgot all about him. And I think if you had asked me what brand is he on, I'm not sure I would have said SmackDown. And
did you see the treatment he got last night?
What do you mean?
Already in the ring when they cut from commercial. He got the already in the ring move.
I'm not positive I could. If I heard his theme music, I would know who was coming to the ring.
Jeff Hardy was okay. I mean, like he got the win he needed, and then creepy Randy Orton standing behind the curtain playing with himself, staring at him. Like, that's weird.
Are you making the joke about his allegations? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about. It just looked like a guy that was standing behind the curtain giving himself a wink and a nod. It was weird.
Oh, well, then that's doubly funny if you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So over the weekend, there was an allegation levied against Randy Orton that WWE is quote unquote investigating. So there's a former writer, I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm sorry for that, but it's a former writer who says that, they were asking about like bullying in the locker room, and they were saying that Randy Orton, boy, I hope I get this right. According to this guy, Randy Orton would be really mean to a lot of the new writers, and one thing he would do is he'd take his junk out and he'd literally start pleasuring himself in front of you and then offer to shake your hand. And when you would inevitably decline shaking his hand, I assume most people would, he would then say, "Oh, you're hot-shotting me? You're too afraid, you're too good to shake my hand." He'd go around and tell everybody, the new writer's afraid to shake my hand. He's too good to shake my hand. He's better than the boys. So, and he's saying that he did this to a lot of people, that there are a lot of people who would back him up. And so now and by the way, this is years old story. Like, he didn't say this.
Go
ahead.
Keep going. I'm blown away. And then I'm going to add to it.
Sure.
I can't believe you don't remember. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically he just said that was something he would do on the regular. It wasn't an isolated incident. And he's just one of that he's bringing it to the light, and now it's getting traction because it's 2018.
Do you not remember our lunch with Batista at Hooters?
I have no idea. I mean, I remember lunch, but I have no idea where you're going.
Batista, maybe you didn't hear it, and maybe you were talking to someone else at that time, but Batista was talking about crazy road stories and how he was traveling with Randy Orton a lot. And he was like, well, we get in trouble in the bars. And he started being honest about Randy Orton. And he was like, he'll pull it out, and he said he'll get his hands all over it, and he'll like make people high five him.
Yes.
And then he'll grab girls' hands and shove them down his pants and stuff. And this was out of Batista's mouth while we're eating boneless chicken wings at Hooters. And this was however many years ago. I know it's all alleged, and I don't know about whether this writer's telling the truth or not, but the proof is in the pudding, and where there's smoke, there's Randy Orton's penis.
I actually kind of remember this story now. This would never have dawned on me if you didn't bring this back into my memory.
Bang. Dropping some knowledge on your ass.
I mean, let's be real. It's like, I hate when, and Bruce Pritchard does it all the time, and Bischoff does it all the time. And here's the thing. I hate when they're always like, Dave Meltzer's always wrong. The internet's always wrong. Dude, these guys are right like 90% of the time. They're right about JBL being a bully. And I just guarantee you, allegedly, they're right about this stuff. I just know.
I think these guys are right about a lot of things. I think they're wrong when they try to predict what's happening. Like, if they say they know what's happening down the road, I think that I think they're guessing.
I think they're still right 90% of the time, and then plans changed. That's what I think.
Because if I'm learning anything, the closer I get to the business and the more we talk about it and the more you share and the more I listen to these podcasts, is that decisions aren't even made the day of the show. Like, Carmella told us she did not know she was cashing the Money in the Bank in until the show started.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally believe that the plans are changing, and I don't always know that they're writing because of the dirt sheets. I'm sure they're not usually, but I think that anytime Meltzer reports something as fact, I think at least 90% of the time it was fact at that time.
I was told that I read that a lot of people didn't know Dean Ambrose was hiding on a bus during Raw.
That leaked early.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't have a run sheet in front of me. Those are the notes I had. Is there anything we need to talk about outside of what we hit already? I enjoyed. My favorite part of this episode has been the Randy Orton discussion.
Yeah, that was great. Zelina Zelina Vega, she's hot as hell, man.
Very
I
much
like
so.
her a lot. I like her a lot on my TV. Rest in peace and congratulations to Sanity. If it doesn't go to No Way Jose, you're getting the Better Luck NXT time for sure. God almighty, they just came out and jobbed out the New Day like nothing. That's the end of that.
I feel like at this point in time, if I had to choose right now, No Way Jose is having the worst go of the two.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's Better Luck NXT time, but Sanity's. I'm just trying to illustrate that
it's not going well.
Unfortunately, I think you're right, and I thought, give them time. They're not using them like a chaotic. They're like, and here on schedule are our anarchists.
Boy, this is one of the rare times where I read something on a dirt sheet and it was right.
FDM.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I get why Bruce and everyone that's been in the business don't like it. But if you guys think that they're right less than 90% of the time, you're mistaken.
That seems like a high number, but I mean, I read those observers you lent me, and he's got a close eye on everything. I mean, absolutely everything. I think if you're going to hang Meltzer out to dry on anything, it's his clear bias towards the Japanese and the Indies. He, I think, sometimes doesn't like the WWE because WWE. I do believe that, but 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome and all that. I mean, he's guilty as charged, I think, with that stuff. But to try and discredit him completely is bunk.
But that's all opinion-based stuff. Like, a star rating is an opinion. Reporting news is perpetrating fact. And when it comes to fact, I don't think he's wrong more than 10% of the time. That's
awesome.
So that's the way I feel about that. So
F Dave Meltzer. F him. That's what Pritchard says.
Yeah.
That's what your boy says.
I'm still not 100% convinced that Bruce isn't one of the sources.
You think?
He's so over the top with it that I think he's almost trying to convince us that stuff like that didn't happen.
He's got me convinced. Yeah.
So
what are we doing? The next time we talk is prediction time, and this is a tough card to call,
dude,
baby.
I feel like tomorrow is going to be a killer episode. You're good for tomorrow, right?
I am good for tomorrow.
All right, we'll make it happen tomorrow. It's going to be our SummerSlam predictions, and I'm with Jerry. I've got a few matches that I feel pretty good about. None of them I'm really confident about, and a whole lot that I'm like, WTF is going to happen here.
Yeah, and the only person that's going to complain about the kickoff show more than us is Rusev.
I'm so over these pre-shows, man. They're so unnecessary. We'll save that for tomorrow, though. Man, thank you for your time this morning. We've got.
Hey, I love you. I think we need an hour-long kickoff show before our podcast.
I love the post show too. It hasn't been like too crazy here lately, but don't forget to leave us your feedback and always start wrestling drama on the post show because we love that. For myself, the Rob, and my tag team partner, Mr. Jerry Valeri, we've got predictions for you tomorrow right here on Post to Post.
Shake my hand, pal. Come on. Shake my what? You don't want to shake my hand? Huh? Want to shake my hand? Hot shotting me?